end do I want to take off there? Take off that end. And let's see here. What's going to be the easiest way to go about doing this? This is the hay squeeze, another retrofit. This is a guy named Josh over in Medford. Can't tackle this one for Josh and get it knocked out. It's go time. When you're doing these retrofits like this, I can't tell you enough that anything that you can save, and you might need it, you might be able to use it on something when you're going back together with the other half of it. Oh, we're filling here. Hang on a second. Drain that coolant out of it, and there we go. Let's just take this. I got a feeling we're not going to be using this bracket right here. It's like about an 18 situation. See how much of this I can get torn apart. Darn it, I didn't want to do that. I don't know where it went. Probably laying down beside the fan hub or something. Where the hell did that bolt go? I don't know. Yard and stuff off. Like I said though, I'll be using some of that stuff when we go back together. Battery cable off this thing, we're not gonna arc something. Yeah. I thought I pulled it off when I pulled it in here. I don't know where that fill tube bracket needs to come loose, and I think maybe I'll leave it on there for now. Let's see here. What size is this? This has got to come off. It looks like about a 10 millimeter or something like that. I gotta go clear out to Langell Valley tomorrow, and we gotta go out there and pull a hydraulic cylinder out of a lowboy trailer, bring it back into town and get the seals for it. This is an ISC 8.3. This has got a caps pump on it. And if you don't know what a caps pump, that's Cummins accumulator pumping system. It was the first basically kind of common rail setup that Cummins did on an engine. Okay, what's it taking? I need to pull this bumper off of here. Would it be easier to pull? What do they got out here? Some kind of Allen wrench? Why would they put Allens on that? Whatever. What about out here? Same thing. Allen wrench situation, but you got bolts coming in through here too. They got. Yeah, they definitely. You got her bolted down good, don't they? That's just a cross brace. I don't think that's holding anything out here though. So it looks like to me, this charger cooler radiator setup, we're probably going to be trying to utilize that into that squeeze somehow. I'd I'd kind of like to make that hydraulic fan setup work. You know what? Is my thinking on that deal. The heck's the deal here? Nothing's really seeming to fit here. It's 8mm. Is it 5/16? Is that what it is? Well, that fits a little better. Somebody's partially screwed that up is what the deal is. We'll have to beat them in there. I think, is that 3/4 or is that 18mm on the other side of it? I just don't have enough room in the shop for these. If I put this bus in there, I won't be able to get around and do anything, and it's already bad enough as it is. I'm thinking, nope, they're 3/4. We got a local utility company here, and they've got like an F750, and they've taken it about everywhere in town, trying to get people to do a retrofit on it like I do, you know, putting a newer engine in it because it's not compliant now. And they've got a hard on for me. I'm not good enough to do any work for them, you know, so they've been taking it everywhere else. And I think it's funny that I'm not good enough to do any work for them, but everywhere they take it to, everybody tells them to take it to me. I think it's kind of funny. Wow, not coming out so easy, you know. Pull this bumper off of here. That'll make a hell of a difference. It'll come out a little easier too once we get to that point. Gotta beat it in on every one of these. Wow. I wonder if I can incorporate this fuse panel setup they got going on here. What are they? Because the grid heater I think is going, where did I do with the grid heater wires? They're going in, where are they going? Yeah, they're going, actually here's the grid heater coils, the solenoids for it, right here. And they're going, where's all the control wires going? It's hard to say. The way they've got everything, it's kind of stuff going everywhere. Kind of wondering if I could use this. What's all these? K2 ignition optional, F1 mega fuse. Electric ground, electric power, K1 starter, engine 7.5 amp. I think I'm going to use this panel right here. What's this gargantuan relay over here? K1 starter, hot stud. Oh, he's a hot stud. Hey, there's a hide key or something. No, spare fuses. Okay. Anyhow, I think we're going to utilize this if we can. That would be pretty handy. This is what I like when I get to do the whole job instead of just somebody else starts on it and then I don't know what they took off. I don't, you know, all this. It's nice having the whole vehicle here, and then you can use all this stuff, you know. Really nice, really nice. Yeah, okay. I think most of your harness is actually just plugging into this. It's just kind of acting like a junction box is what it's doing. I probably could have just I'm thinking about that. I probably could have almost unplugged it from right here and just left the harness. Well, oh well. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We're going to leave everything intact that we can possibly leave intact. And we do have the bus, so we can pull things off as we need them. Big Amphenol connector back here. So then there's the lift pump. There's the lift pump right there. Okay. It's like a big Amphenol connector right here. Okay, got that off. Okay, I see the electric lift pump right there. Now, there's the grid heater wires. There's the OEM plug off the ECM. They've got a hydraulic pump right there that's got a suction coming off this gargantuan power steering reservoir because they've got a hydraulic fan on it. That's why it's so big. But we need to take the discharge line off here, the suction line, and there's another. This is a 2-section pump or just a 1-section pump? It's just a 1-section pump. There's a number 8 line down the bottom too on the discharge side. And then we got to get all the wires off the starter. We got to get the fuel lines loose. What are all these wires back here going to? A bunch of wires going across back there. So we got to get the fuel lines off and get them capped. Ooh. 7/8. Get the other fuel line loose. And basically, those 2 hydraulic line or those 3 lines right there going into that pump, and everything off this side, well, those 3 lines off the pump and the starter wires and everything on both sides of this engine are unhooked, and that means it's ready to, well, I still got the transmission stuff there to do, but this fill tube, they've got about every, looks like they've got about every wire they could possibly zip tie. Look how they've got this wire here tied around that fill tube. And what's this? Oh, this is the air line for the air governor right there. So I gotta get a 7/8, get that line loose, get the starter wires off. Yeah, and then we're gaining. I'm gonna continue on here, get this engine out of this bus. So I'm trying to remember where I was at. I got the bumper off. What else did I have left to pull off on this thing? I think I'm fairly close. There's a line here, charge air cooler line. We're probably going to try to utilize that radiator fan assembly as well on this thing. What's back in here behind the cobweb? So that's just hose clamps holding that hose on. So that's not a big deal. We got wires zip tied here. We got to figure out where that stuff's going. What else? It's one of those things where you're trying not to cannibalize anything because you might need it, you know, so you want to really be careful and take your time and do this, you know, do it right and get it apart. I got all the wires off the starter, if I remember right. Trying to remember where I left off. I got to get those fuel lines off back here. Those got to come off. And I think everything's off here. Basically, I want to get this thing out. Oh, the signal line on the starter. We got to get that off. I need to go get something. Darn it. I need to go get something to lay on. Get the starter signal wire loose. What else? How about these battery cables going over? There's the block heater cord. What is it going to take to get the transmission disconnected and all that good stuff? How wet is it underneath here? That ain't too bad. Underneath the bus. Well, there's that Allison 3000 series transmission. And they got the fill tube running right in between those hoses and all that shit they got on there. It's like, shit, you know? Why'd you do that? Look how they got that fill tube running up between those hoses. Why in the fuck would you do something like that? I mean, I understand some of this shit. You see it and you're almost just dumbfounded at some of the shit you see, you know? It's like, is this fucker's medulla oblongata working correctly? Okay, unplug that, cut that zip tie. Let's see, unplug this speed sensor over here. What do we got for driveline stuff? Straps, and they're 10 millimeter. I bet they're 3/8. I bet those are 3/8. Pull the driveline loose, cut these zip ties. I'm gonna have to, so the transmission, there ain't gonna be much to that. Cooler lines, we'll have to pull them and cap them and try to save as much of that oil as possible. Knowing Josh, he probably wants to just probably change the oil out on it anyway. I don't know. He usually likes doing shit right if he can do it. That exhaust is gonna be kind of a problematic thing, huh? Where it comes off the turbo back there. So that's probably gonna have to be dropped down or something. Where's it going? Right here. Another zip tie and another sensor here. It needs to be, this is some kind of temperature sender. Something here. Get that off of there. And then I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the fill tube past the hoses and get them out of there, because that's kind of a shit situation there. Other than that, we've pretty well got all the wiring unhooked right there just now. So I guess I'm gonna get some plywood and we'll get these driveline straps loose and go on from there. Well, let's see here. Let's show yard and stuff off of here. Okay. Some kind of coolant line for something here. It's got a quarter turn valve up there above it. This bus thing, they did some kind of goofy things. Typical government deal, you know. This bus would have lasted the school district for many years to come, but when the taxpayer's paying for everything, they just go out and get another one. So nobody else can afford to do shit like that but the government. Just in this day and age. Did I grab the right size wrench? Of course not. It's 15 millimeter. Well, that's 15 millimeter. Okay. Okay, let me scurry out of here again. I'll go get another wrench. Gotta get this bracket loose. It's holding whatever in the hell that is on there. I think it's a hydraulic line or something. Yeah, it must be going over that power steering coolant reservoir, and it's going over to some kind of, oh yeah, it's going over to this. You can see it right there. They've got a cooler right there with a fan on it, and that's cooling that big old reservoir because it's got the hydraulic fan and all that shit on it. So don't know if we're going to be able to utilize. It'd kind of be cool to put a hydraulic fan on a hay squeeze. I've always wanted to do it, and then put a diverter valve or something like that to where you could flip a switch in the cab, because the big thing with the hay squeezes, the hay chaff, especially if you're doing like straw, you know, you'll have to get out and knock your radiator off because the fans are pulling. But with a hydraulic fan like this, you could put a fan and a switch and a diverter valve to switch the flow ports to where the fan would spin backwards and blow the chaff off the front of the radiator, and then flip the switch back the other way to for engine cooling or whatever. You could leave it like that. Or maybe if you're going down the road, flip it to where it's turning one way, and if you're like stacking a barn or something like that and you're not going very fast, you could flip it the other way. You know, that's just thoughts that I had anyway. Of course, that hose isn't just going to come off of there. On this fill tube, I'm going to have to take this fill tube completely out of there because it's this engine harness is surrounding it right here, and then it's going through some hoses and stuff back there. So I'm going to have to pop it out of the transmission and put a plug in the transmission fill hole. Oh yeah, I got to do the fuel lines. Let's just go ahead and do that before I forget about it. Let me. Well, this exhaust is low to the ground. Holy cow. Okay. Is this the right size? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I like it. I like it. I need to get some 3/8 12-point sockets. I don't have a good selection of those, to be honest with you. I've got some 1/2-inch drive stuff, but you'll never ever quit buying tools in this profession. It's just a never-ending thing. It's like that trailer I just did. I had to buy a special bushing installer to get the bushings in it. You know, probably the only time I'll ever use the son of a bitch. Didn't make a damn thing on that job. It was a cluster. I found out that I didn't know. I've never done one of those. I've never done one of those wide beam bushings like that. And anyway, they got the wrong kit. But the only thing that's different about the kit, which I didn't know, I thought that the bushings would be different. But apparently even the kit they did give me, which was wrong, the only thing different was the washers on the end and then the bolts. But I wasn't aware of that, so lesson learned there. Cluster fuck central. What do we got? What is this disaster here? It's an old block heater cord or something. They cut it off. That's dandy, huh? Oh, they got it tied together right here with some wire nuts. Oh, okay. I understand. Half-assed shit. I understand. Okay, now I get it. Here we go with some peckerhead and wire nuts again. On an automotive application. I guess I probably could save some time and just cut them, but whatever, you know. Well, that's what we're going to do. Means we know they're already all dicked up anyway, so just cut it. Somehow they broke the block heater cord and they basically just wire nutted them back together. Was that county approved? Okay, this wire is going to what? It's a sending unit up here on the radiator as a coolant level sensor. Now that all that stuff's loose, it'll come through there at least, so don't have to worry about ripping that in two. The only other thing that I'm seeing, I took the cold housing off the turbo because it was sticking out here, and that's a new turbo. Gotta be really careful here we don't damage the impeller wheel. The only other thing that I do know we gotta do is we have some grounds on the bell housing on the top, and let's see if we can reach back here now that we can access it a little bit easier. And let's not stick our leg between the frame and that engine, just in case it rolls over and decides to grab me. Oh man, I was hoping I could get two of them up here. Would make my life a lot better. Well, tighter than the hubs of hell. I don't even know where to put you at here. Yeah. I think this is the last thing to get unattached. Oh, we drag it on out of here. Okay. All right. She's out of there. These wires, I can pull those on through now. All right. I think we can proceed. And then I can get it out far enough and I'll just grab it with my crane and just pull it on out of there. Let's let it down. Try to watch this so I don't. Okay. The jack is not rolling. Right. Okay. I'll get the crane. Get this out of my way. I'm gonna see if I can get my hook like right in here and get a hold of it, and then use the come along and the crane. Well, you know, I'm trying to decide what I want to do here. That's the problem. Warren's on the short bus. Warren's riding the short bus today. Yeah. Yeah. There we got her now, by I got you right by the balls now, you bastard. Oh yeah, oh yeah. is, guys. She's out of there. Put the bolt back in here so I know where that holds the transmission fill tube in. Right. Well, boy, look how plugged up that vent is. That's what caused the seals to go out right there. Yeah. All right. No damage done. Drug her out on a piece of plywood. Yeah, everything looks satisfactory. Let's get a hold of it and crane it back in. I better cap these seal lines while I'm here, huh? Might be a wise thing to do. I'm glad I decided to pull that off. That's a new turbo we put on there. And I'm gonna go Stoker Ace. He's born to race. Be at Main Street 10 miles wide. Man, I might be out of caps. I don't have any number 8 caps. I had some plastic ones. I gotta find them. I had some plastic ones somewhere. That number 10 will go on there, but I need a number 8 cap. Anyway. Well, I find a number 8 cap. I gotta go put a pyrometer in Dwayne's truck over here. And anyway, I'm gonna go put that in real quick so he can come get it, and then clean the back of my truck out and crane this in the back and take it home.